Mr. Chumber's smashing little house. Once upon a time Mr. Thomas was walking through a small country lane when he noticed a lovely little old house with a for sale sign on it. He thought it looked really nice from the outside and, perhaps, an ideal place for him to move into. I must have a look inside that lovely house, he thought. He went through its creaky gate, up the small shingle path, and knocked on the old wooden front door. A rickety old man opened the door. "Can I help you?" he asked. "Sorry to trouble you," said Mr. Thomas. "I was just admiring your smashing little house, and saw it is for sale, so I was wondering if I might take a look inside." "Oh, it's no trouble at all. I love having visitors," said the old man, and let Mr. Thomas into the house. "I'm glad you like it," he said. "I built it all myself." "Really? That's amazing," said Mr. Thomas. As the old man shut the door behind him, there was a loud crash. The door had fallen off its hinges. "Goodness! Is that supposed to happen?" asked Mr. Thomas, somewhat alarmed. "Oh yes, it sometimes does that. But I quite like a bit of fresh air." "Fresh air? But it's freezing." "Don't worry," said the old man. "I'll just turn the fire on." They went into the living room. The old man went over to the fire and switched it on. Boom! Went the fire and knocked a big hole in the living room wall, covering them both from head to foot in dust. "Hello, Mrs. Butterhead," said the old man to the old lady who was sat in her armchair reading her magazine next door. "Morning, Mr. Chumber. Showing someone around your house again?" "Yes," said Mr. Chumber. "He's the third person this week." He turned to Mr. Thomas. "Shall I show you into the kitchen?" "Is it safe?" "Oh, it's quite safe," said Mr. Chumber, leading him into a bright yellow kitchen. "This is a nice kitchen. Nice and bright and cheerful." "Yes," said Mr. Chumber. "I only finished decorating it this morning. 4th time this year." "Do you do a lot of decorating?" "Sorry, would you like a cup of coffee?" "Yes, please. I think I need one," thought Mr. Thomas. I do a lot of DIY, yes. I like to keep the place in one piece, if I can." Mr. Chumber poured some water from the kitchen sink into the kettle. "You can even see my old tool shed from here," he said, pointing towards the bottom of his garden. He plugged the kettle into the wall and switched it on. Boom! The kettle exploded and water poured from it everywhere. "Ah! I thought you said this kitchen was safe," shrieked Mr. Thomas. "No, I said it was quite safe," corrected Mr. Chumber. They left the kitchen. "Now, come with me upstairs and I'll show you the bathroom." He led Mr. Thomas upstairs to the bathroom. "This room isn't likely to explode too, is it?" "Oh no," said Mr. Chumber. "Are you sure?" "Definitely not. No way. You're as safe as houses in here." "Good," said Mr. Thomas suspiciously. "I'm a bit dusty from all these explosions. Do you mind if I wash my hands?" "Not at all." Mr. Thomas went over to the sink, put in the plug and turned on the tap. The tap creaked, then gargled, then spluttered, and suddenly, sploosh! Water gushed out of it, hitting the sink with such force that it collapsed and shattered. The water was now pouring all over the floor. Mr. Thomas tried to turn the tap off, but it too had broken and wouldn't turn off. Mr. Thomas screamed. They hurriedly left the bathroom. "Quick, into the bedroom," cried Mr. Chumber. They ran into the bedroom. You said that the bathroom wouldn't explode," spluttered Mr. Thomas. "It didn't," said Mr. Chumber. "It flooded." They stood staring at each other in silence for a moment. "It's very dark in this room," said Mr. Thomas. "Ah, well, let me switch the light on for you then," said Mr. Chumber helpfully. He did. Sizzle, sizzle, bang! The light bulb exploded and smashed a big hole into the ceiling. That's it, screamed Mr. Thomas. I'm getting out of here. But you said you wanted to buy my lovely old home. Yes, but that was when it was lovely. It isn't any more. Mr. Thomas started to run towards the stairs. But wait, cried Mr. Chumber. There's something I forgot to tell you. What? Said Mr. Thomas, grabbing the banister and running down the stairs. As he ran, the banister gave way in his hand, and Mr. Thomas crashed over the staircase and onto the hard floor below. I forgot to tell you about the banister, said Mr. Chumber. It's a bit wonky. The floorboard that Mr. Thomas had landed on began to creak, and then gave way. Oh, said Mr. Chumber. I knew there was something else. Mr. Thomas crashed through the floor and into the dark cellar below. As he fell, he heard a loud scream. Not his own. It came from someone else. Then, clump! He landed on something. Or someone soft. Hello, I'm Mr. Bairstow, said the man Mr. Thomas had landed on. I came to look around the house yesterday. To be honest, I think I've seen far more than I was expecting, really. Yes, me too, said Mr. Thomas. Me too, said Mrs. Logan, who had come to visit the house 2 days ago. And me, said Mr. Harvey. I've been here a fortnight. I'm a little bored with it now. Mr. Chumber looked over at them from the broken floorboards above. Well, he said, this has turned into quite a nice little house party. At my age I don't get many visitors who like to stay, and I did say that I love having visitors. He threw down some sandwiches and drinks to them. It's just a shame that none of you like my lovely little house. I'll just have to build it all again until someone does. I think I'll start with the floorboards. He went out into his garden towards his tool shed.